Anchors up, sails at full. Welcome to the Sloopcast. Kyle, I hate you.
Oh, the shenanigans in our Discord, Jared. The shenanigans.
I know I've left it in the podcast in the past, so it's probably not like a total surprise that, like, because Kyle and I record our channels differently. He records his vocals locally. I record mine locally. We do what basically every sort of podcast YouTube thing does, where we just do a clap, which makes it easy to synchronize the sound, right? But he went 1, 2, 3 instead of 3, 2, 1 the time the clap, and it pissed both Austin and I off something terribly. And that's what we're doing. Man, now we're doing 2 episodes in 1 right now, so we probably should get started. Because, like, all right, so here's what was happening. Here's what was happening. I said, "Hey Kyle, let's do a mock class for 2025." He's like, "Oh, really?" It's like, I mean, yeah, that'd be fun, but I'm like, yeah, but there's really nothing else going on. I go, we can do some final calls. We have a list of 6 2024 guys. We do some final calls on that. And then we can move on and we can just sort of do the class of 2025. The mock again. What do you mean again? We're doing final calls on just a couple 2024 guys and doing a mock class for 2025. We haven't done a mock class for 2025 before. It would be our first one. So, and then stuff started happening. And by stuff, I mean booms, or at least one boom so far. Kyle?
As Tony Gerdeman sent here or messaged earlier.
Can we get some goats in the chat?
Scarlet, Gray, and Boom.
Yeah. And there's some dates coming up still. But yeah, Justin Scott, like, did not have him in the mock a couple weeks ago. Happy to be wrong. The hype all felt a little too. It felt a little too good to be true, to be honest with you. It all felt a little too good to be true. And I'm like, okay, this is like our post-visit hype period, the post-visit honeymoon, where everything feels optimistic and yada, yada, yada. But as of Sunday, as of just like a half hour or so before we hit record tonight, Justin Scott commits to the Ohio State 2024 class. This is a 5-star prospect, across the board, a 5-star prospect. According to the composite, he's the 14th best player in the country, the 3rd best defensive lineman, and the number 1 player out of the entire state of Illinois. His composite score is 0.9939, which for anyone keeping track at home is redonkulous.
Very, very.
It's good. Yes. As Austin says, it good. He good football. Push man far. Get a certain Polynesian running back on board and the chips may fall in place. I agree. I think
linebacker.
I still, did I not say linebacker?
You said running back.
Did I? That's a weird switch to make. Yeah, Kate, I believe you. I believe you. Y'all don't have to like jump on Kyle's side like you normally do. I'll just believe you. Yeah, no, you add KVA and all of a sudden you're feeling real good about the interior of this defense for a little while. Yeah, so this is a huge surprise. Like, again, there are a lot of people feeling optimistic about Justin Scott. I wasn't one of them. I would say to this point, now keep him. Now you got to keep him. Mm-hmm. But like, it's not like he's a South Florida kid or a Los Angeles kid. He's still a Midwest kid. Chicago's not that far away. But he's still a top 5 guy and you got to keep him. Yeah. We were just complaining recently about how we haven't had huge hog Molly's on the inside of the defense. This is a guy thrilled to keep away from Bama, Michigan, and Georgia. Yeah, I would say Notre Dame as well. We should own Chicago. That's as much as Northwestern likes to claim Chicago. That's Notre Dame City first and foremost. But I agree with you. I think we should own Chicago.
6'4", 310. Yeah, this is your plug 'em up type of player right in the middle of your defensive line.
Kyle, is it ironic that one of Justin Fry's first big wins, as he is the primary recruiter here, because they were originally looking at Justin Scott as an offensive lineman, one of Fry's big out of state wins is a defensive lineman.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of funny when looking back at that now.
I still think he gets one of those big out of state offensive tackles to finish out the 2024 class, but we're not getting into that. You go listen to the past 2 episodes to hear us talk about that. Mm-hmm. Kyle, there was also like another little relatively mini piece of news, although maybe not super mini, over on 247.com that you brought my attention to.
Yeah, another defensive lineman. Could Ohio State add another 5-star defensive lineman to this already amazing recruiting class here? And we're talking about kid out of Washington, D.C., Dylan Stewart. Two crystal balls from 2 24/7 national guys, both placing Dylan Stewart to Ohio State, which is crazy. Again, number 9 nationally, number 2 edge rusher in the country, number 1 player out of the DC area. A composite score of 9.960, which, to quote Austin, is good. That's good. He good football. Hit man hard, run fast, push man far. And what's extra puzzling, like Dylan Stewart is a guy we've had in our mock classes in the past. He wasn't in our most recent mock class. But we have had him in the mock classes in the past. But what I think is extra, I really only had Ohio State taking 2 defensive ends this series. And Lightfoot and Houston are 2 guys who I basically have penned in already at this point. Now there has been at least some talk from Berm. I know about Miami making a late push, which I assume is financial, because it's basically what Miami can offer at this point. So, I mean, maybe Lightfoot is, and if he's, can they even offer finances? Yeah, there's lots of money in Miami. They'll find it, but I wouldn't worry about that. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because I basically already in my mind had the defensive end class kind of wrapped up with Houston and Lightfoot. And with a class that's already looking to be pretty damn big. And of course, with Dylan Stewart, you make room for him. Like, it doesn't matter. Dylan Stewart's like that kind of special. You make room for him. Right. So like you make the numbers work at that point. But it's another interesting, do they take all 3 of those guys? Does this lend credence to some rumors that Lightfoot might be going to Miami? Is Houston not as solid as we originally thought? Don't know. But, there was a double crystal ball from 2 bigwigs over at 24/7 placing Dylan Stewart at Ohio State. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's like they got off of a phone call and like both placed their, like it was just like kind of bang bang like that.
Yep.
All right, Kyle. Let's speaking of Lightfoot,
We have 6 players. We'll be starting off with Lightfoot. We have 6 players who we will be making our final calls on for the 2024 class. So let's start with Lightfoot. He will be committing on the evening of July 3rd, which is the day that this episode drops. We have our targets here set at Ohio State and Miami. I'm going to stick with Ohio State. I'm going to stick with Ohio State. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stick with Ohio State.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, at this point, it would not surprise me either way. But yeah, as of when we're recording this, Jared, yeah, I would stick with Ohio State. But like many things in the recruiting world, things can change in an instant here.
And really, if those late crystal balls hadn't come in on Dylan Stewart right before we started recording, I would have just said Ohio State and moved on. Like that, really, the Dylan Stewart crystal ball is the only thing that's even making me hesitate at this point. Because like, and I 100% trust Berm's reporting that Miami's making a push, but like, he isn't saying that, Miami moved into first place or that Miami's definitely going to get him now. He just said that they're making a push, which is like, of course they are. Like, that's what they should be doing, right? All right, Kyle. Next, we have Elijah Moore, wide receiver. He will be announcing on July 4th. We had him in many of Ohio State's many of our classes for Ohio State in the past. Maybe a bit of a spoiler. We didn't have him in the most recent mock class for Ohio State. So where do you think he's heading, Kyle?
I think he's gonna stay there with the Seminoles. I don't think Ohio State are gonna be able to get more at the end here. Just not enough to get to the finish line here for him.
At a certain point, and I think maybe Elijah Moore is at, maybe that certain point, recruiting an insane number of wide receivers is going to catch up with you. As far as other teams going, look at all the guys already in that room. And they already have the number 1 receiver for this class. You know what I mean? Like, I think at a certain point, Brian Hartline's success will bite him a little bit. Just a little bit. And, maybe Elijah Moore is, some of that success coming back to haunt you. All right, Kyle. From Elijah to Elias Rudolph, native of the Cincinnati area, will be announcing on July 3rd. He is a defensive end and edge rusher. I mean, if we can't get our 4th choice at wide receiver, I'm okay. 3rd or 4th. I think with Elijah Moore going elsewhere, you might see Ohio State stop at 3 in this class. I think McKellen is 3. I don't know. I have them both in my head as like 3/4. I don't necessarily have them separated. That's just my take on it. Elias Rudolph, like I said, committing July 3rd, the day this episode drops. Cincinnati native, currently playing in Florida at IMG. What was a guy we've been watching for a while. Kyle, where do you have him going?
I think we're gonna see him in the other colors here. I don't think we'll see him in the scarlet and gray.
Nah, he's going up north. He is going up north for sure. All right, Kyle, on July 6th, cornerback out of Indiana, Miles Lockhart, committing again July 6th. I have Miles Lockhart personally as a solid lock to Ohio State at this point. I don't even know who else to tell you might be in the running here.
Agreed. Yeah, this is Ohio State here. He's committing here this week here. Another kid here, Ohio State always seems to find one recruit out of the state of Arizona, it seems, here or around there. So, or at least it seems to be that way. But yeah, I think this is Ohio State really likes this kid here, and ultimately he's going to come to Ohio State.
Yeah, the recruiting like rankings and such aren't huge, but I know Ohio State likes him a lot, so that's all I need to know. All right, Kyle. Now those are true final calls. Those are absolutely like true final calls. He bullied Rayola in Arizona. I'll take your word on that one. Those four are like our true final calls. These next two are a little bit stretches. They're committing in a few weeks. Aaron Scott, who's a guy we have talked about a lot in recent weeks. Defensive back, cornerback, depending on who you ask, the best player in the state of Ohio this year. Plays out of the Dayton area. He will be committing, Kyle, on July 30th. On July 30th, it's basically Ohio State and Michigan. I've seen people throw like Notre Dame or Oregon in there too. This is Ohio State and Michigan. And any other hats on the table are simply there for dressing. This is Ohio State versus Michigan.
Yeah, and you got to keep the best players in the state of Ohio at Ohio State, and I think that will be the case here with Aaron Scott. When it's all said and done, he'll be staying in Ohio.
I agree. I think I saw this, I believe, on the Buckeye Huddle board. Someone pointing out that July 30th is Aaron Scott's dad's birthday. And his dad's a huge Ohio State fan. It would feel a little like do you schedule your commitment on your dad's birthday just to commit to his favorite team's rival? It would feel odd. It would feel odd. Unless he hates his dad's guts, Esquire, or excuse me, Gangland says. I mean, to my knowledge, they have a good relationship. To my knowledge, or at least it's not a put a knife into his heart relationship. I'll say that much. It's not that type of relationship. It would be the ultimate heel turn moment. Yeah, that's some WWE shit right there. That ain't right. That would not be right. And that is just straight up Hulk Hogan joining the New World Order right there. His dad says he would show up in Ann Arbor in Ohio State gear if his son played there. Why does this feel like the new Chris Spielman situation? All right. Again, this one's a bit of a stretch. This one's like a month out. Maybe this isn't actually a final call. But saying 6 final calls in the thumbnail sounds good, right? KJ Bolden, another guy who we've talked about a lot in recent weeks, has announced a commitment date for August 5th. This is a situation that I think last week we talked about, like Ohio State and Georgia primarily. Don't rule out Alabama.
I was just about to say there's a new tide rolling in here. Alabama's been making a big push here for Bolden here, and from everything that I've been hearing here, it's not Georgia that the Ohio State coaching staff's worried about right now. It's Alabama.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It would suck if you're Georgia to miss out on both Woodyard and KJ Bolden. Because I've been saying for a couple weeks that like between Bolden and Woodyard, one of them goes to Ohio State, the other one goes to Georgia. And I've since been hearing that like Georgia's not where Woodyard's going to end up. It could be Ohio State. It could be USC. It could be a couple other options. But like Bolden was for sure going to go to Ohio State or Georgia. Well, now Alabama's creeping in, and it's just like it would feel real disheartening from a Georgia perspective to lose both of these guys, especially with Bolden being an in-state guy. We'll see how it goes. Final call, Kyle. Final call, KJ Bolden.
Man, it's my heart wants to say yes. My heart really does, but I'm gonna say he's gonna go somewhere else. He won't come to Ohio State.
You got to pick though. You can't say somewhere else. You can't say somewhere else.
I'll say that Alabama. I'll say Alabama with what they've been doing recently and the recent visit there. I think I'll give the little edge to Alabama now.
I'm still gonna. I know recent reports are pushing Alabama. I'm still thinking Georgia. I still think Ohio State gets Woodyard. So I think Woodyard leaves Georgia, comes to Ohio State. I think Bolden goes to Georgia. I will say this though. I say that with very little confidence. Like, I don't know. Like, just for the record, I'm not saying that with a ton of confidence. I still feel good that Ohio State gets one of the two. But I just don't feel confident saying which one of the two at this point. And but I'm gonna go final call Georgia with Woodyard coming to Ohio State. I think that's what I said last week and the week before, and I'm just gonna stick to it until I hear something rock solid to make me think otherwise.
All right.
All right. Kyle, that's it for 2024 for now.
And with that class, like if for those that we said that would come to Ohio State and with what Ohio State has right now, I mean, right now they have the number 2 class, the best per average recruit in this recruiting class here too. Do they have a chance to finally get the best recruiting class?
Yeah, a chance. When you get down to like fractions of points, it doesn't really matter to me that much. If you're just in there in the hunt with Georgia and Alabama, if you're in that top 3 and it's all very close, I'm not super concerned about actually getting the number 1 class. But you know, I do want to be in the mix for the number 1 class. Like I want to be in that competition. They don't take enough guys. Oh yeah. Austin says they don't take enough guys. Esquire says they might this year. This is the year where they might take a lot of guys. I mean, I've been doing mocks at 28. They had a small class last class, and they're about to lose a ton of juniors on top of their normal attrition this year. This will be a big class. I've been saying 26 to 28. I'm at the point now where I'm almost saying like 27, 29. But I still think 28 is the number for now. All right, Kyle, let's move on to 2025.
The early
hyper
class.
Early 2025 mock class. Now, is it ridiculous to do a mock class?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Jared. The answer is yes.
But yes, it's ridiculous to do a mock class this early. It is. It's borderline stupid. That being said, it looks a lot better in the thumbnail and in the show title and the show notes if it's a mock class versus just here's some names to know. You know what I'm saying? It really is a marketing thing, if I'm being honest with everybody. That being said, I'm still trying my best here. It's an impossible task. It's an impossible ask. But I did my best to try to put together as coherent as possible a mock class for 2025 in July, on July 2nd of 2023. So let's do it. Layup quarterback Tavian St. Clair. Already committed, one of two guys currently in the class. Kyle, I feel good about this one. I feel good about this one. And you're like, oh, well, what about Dylan Raiola? Oh, yeah, that Raiola, you know what? St. Clair from Bellefontaine, Ohio. He didn't go anywhere. They take two possibly, though. Agreed. I think it is worth noting that Ryan Montgomery, who is the younger brother of an offensive tackle at Ohio State, is in this class as a quarterback. I don't think it's ridiculous that they take two quarterbacks in this class. Am I predicting that at this time? I am not. Do I acknowledge that that's a decent possibility? I do. But I'm not mocking it at this time. Two running backs. Who do you think are two running backs are, Kyle?
Well, I would look for any kids in the state of Ohio first.
There's two good running backs in the state of Ohio, but I only have Ohio State ending up with one of them, for the record.
Well, if I'm looking at the 25 class here, I would say Bo Jackson.
Yeah,
out of Cleveland.
And yes, his name is Bo Jackson. He's currently listed as an athlete on the recruiting services. At this time, I'm going to call him a running back, but that could change. Never a bad idea to take Bo Jackson. Yeah, exactly. Except here's the thing. Like, do you want to try and live up to that? Did you really want to try and be a running back in football named Bo Jackson? Like, if there's ever a reason to not play running back, he should just go ahead and move the linebacker. I think so too, Austin. I think so too. That or go play baseball. Oh, wait. Yeah. Bo Jackson. Marquise Davis is an in-state running back who I think is very talented. I'm not mocking him to Ohio State at this time. However, I am going to mock Jordan Davison, which goes against my better instinct, if I'm being honest, because he's a Mater Day kid. And they never end up here. We always go after them. They never choose us. But Baker, see, that's the thing, though. I'm hoping Baker breaks the curse. Offensive tackle in the 2024 class. I hope he breaks the curse.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, wide receivers. Now, this could end up being a 3 wide receiver class. 2024 could end up being a 3 wide receiver class for Ohio State. So let's unfurl. Let's open. Let's lay out the red carpet. Let's bring in 4 guys.
Wow. All right.
Let's bring in 4 in 2025. Name a couple guys, Kyle, who you think are decent opportunities at wide receiver for Ohio State in 2025.
Well, I would guess let's just stick with the state of Ohio here, and if we're going by current rankings here, let's go with a kid out of Cincinnati here, Quentin Simmons Jr.
Yeah, Quentin Simmons. This is. I'm going here thinking that this kid's a little underrated. You look at the 24/7 sports numbers, the composites, the propers, not super, not super impressive at this time. But we all know, like, late rising Ohio kids as far as recruiting rankings and all that. Feels a bit like a slot guy. Feels a bit like a JSN type as far as, build and whatnot. Austin says, for what it's worth, number one wide receiver in the class is already committed to Bama. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, early commitments and whatnot. Another kid, another Ohio kid who maybe a little underrated at this time, but to keep an eye on, out of Olentangy, Jackson Wiley. I think Ohio State takes lower rated kids this cycle. Austin, once again, you and I have the same brain. I have two guys, state of Ohio, who at this time aren't currently highly ranked currently in this class. Again, for what it's worth. Who we have next, Kyle? Let's go big. We went a couple lower. Let's go big on this one.
All right. Let me look at the list here, Jared. How about Quincy Porter? How about Quincy Porter?
Go grab Jamie, I think, instead. I think I'm making a substitution here.
Okay.
I'm making a substitution. Jamie French. I assume it's French. It has two F's for some reason. He plays it Mandarin. He's a dog. Yeah. He absolutely is. Jamie French. What you got info on him, Kyle?
I am pulling it up as we speak here. If I can actually type.
There's links in the show notes, Kyle.
Except your link is broken here.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. Here we go. Yep. Jamie, kid out of Jacksonville, Florida here. There is already an early, there is a early crystal ball, but Jared, he actually does have a commitment date already, an early commitment date for July 22nd.
See. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if it sticks. In fact, Kyle, like, as far as like early offers and all that goes, and early commitments even, check this out. Adrian Wilson, wide receiver out of Texas, already committed to TCU. I'm putting him in the class anyway. I'll say it. I'm putting him in the class. He very recently committed to TCU. I'm putting him in the class anyway. Have to imagine if that Ohio State offer comes in, he reconsiders. I agree.
I thought he had an offer already. Did he not?
From what I read when he visited, he basically told Ohio State if they'd offer, he'd commit. But Ohio State did not offer at that time. He went to visit TCU. TCU offered, he committed. I kind of think Adrian Wilson just didn't want to be, just didn't maybe like the recruiting process. I think he just kind of didn't want to be recruited.
Got it.
But if he thinks a commitment this far out is going to stop people from committing or from contacting him, he has got another thing coming. All right, Kyle, we got a big in-state kid. I only have Ohio State taking one tight end in 2025. They always seem to end up taking two, but for right now, I only have them taking one. This is a big kid from the state of Ohio.
You must be talking about the kid from Lakota West here. Luca Gilbert.
Yeah. Luca Gilbert, which if we're being honest, feels like a basketball name. He'll be an O-line guy. You think so?
6'7", 233.
Yeah, but only 205. I know he's 6'7". I know 6'7" that makes you think offensive tackle. Well, that yours says 233. That's interesting. That's not what mine said. Very interesting. My notes say 205. You know, if he just keeps bulking, maybe he's an offensive tackle or a defensive end. Right now, though, he's listed as a tight end, so that's what I'm marking him as.
He's going to be listed as an athlete, Jared, just an athlete.
But he's not. He's currently listed as a tight end.
I know.
This is 24/7 has him marked as a tight end. I'll take one of those 6'7" tight ends, please. I get that that's kind of ridiculous, but like we'll see. I don't know. That's what they have him. Tall, athletic tight ends are the way of the future, really. But also, like, tight ends need to block too. I mean, let's be honest. That's what Ohio State primarily uses their tight ends for anyway. Why not have an offensive tackle playing tight end? Oh, maybe he's not athletic enough. Is he athletic enough to block a defensive end? It's really all I'm looking for most of the times. To scrape off and get a linebacker, I think he can do it. I think he's athletic enough for that. Darnell Washington was a great tight end, and he wasn't the best receiver. Yeah, I mean, we can go through a list of dudes who played for Ohio State who fit that description. He can block, but I don't think he can play in space. I'm not asking him to. Is my point. I want him to block and maybe catch some touchdowns down in the red zone.
Yes.
That is my primary goal for him. That's all I'm saying. As long as poor Marcus Baugh. Catching the strays in the chat.
Yeah. Who else you got, Jared?
Yeah. We might need to move a little bit faster here. I got 4 offensive linemen in this class. It's probably ends up being 5, but I have 4 for right now. Carter Lowe, I think, is a very notable player to keep an eye on. He's another kid from Toledo, which with Michigan becoming more and more involved in Ohio recruiting, that becomes more and more difficult. But he's one of the top players in the state of Ohio. He's already 6'5", 290. And again, this is a class of 2025 kid. Already at 6'5", 290. I would love it if we land Sanders, but I doubt it. It's a long way out, but I do have David Sanders as in this class. I have David Sanders in this class, Austin, and is that potentially? I think he goes to Georgia. Austin, maybe. Listen, class of 2025. We're just doing our best over here. Is it ridiculous at this point to assume that Ohio State gets, if you're going to have the show, I'm going to share my opinion. Now, and listen, I agree with you. It's legitimately kind of ridiculous that I'm just calling the shot that Ohio State gets like the number one, depending upon who you ask, the number one kid in the country, especially at a position in which they've not been the strongest at recruiting out of state. Is it ridiculous that I make that prediction? Yes, it is. But it's my damn show. The only person who can stop me is Kyle, and he's not gonna. He's like, Jared, you want to do a 2025 mock? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Ohio State hasn't really recruited well out of North Carolina either. Is
that true?
I think so. Like historically, they haven't recruited a ton of people out of North Carolina.
Maybe the best running back in the country is on Ohio State's squad and is from the state of North Carolina. Is he not?
Okay. Point taken. But
Okay. Ooh. Listen, I know you're an Evan Pryor stan, but Henderson's from North Carolina. Isn't he from Virginia? Am I mistaken? Someone Google it. Someone who's not me, Google it. I was very sure. I was very sure just a moment ago. Now, the second someone says, Jared, you might be wrong, my confidence goes to shit.
Jared.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Okay. Listen, we move forward. Out of the IMG Academy, I have Caden Strayhorn. He is an interior offensive lineman, 6'3", 285. Not a super highly ranked guy. I think he's a guy that Ohio State already has a decent relationship with, already has a scholarship offer out too. I think honestly, he's probably as good a option as I can come up with this far out. It's Evan Pryor that's from North Carolina. That's okay. So I feel better.
You shouldn't. All right, we're moving on.
And then I have Brandon Jacobs. He is from Buford, Georgia, which is just like a football scholarship factory in the state of Georgia.
Absolutely.
6'7", 310 offensive tackle, Alpharetta, Georgia.
I took one of those 6'7" offensive tackles.
Yeah, I mean, Carter Lowe, I think, is very, very realistic. Caden Strayhorn, very, very realistic. David Sanders is just like, that's a wish list item for me, if we're being honest. Brandon Jacobs is a guy you might be able to fight for. I'm not like calling that as like a definite shot, but I think that's definitely a guy you can fight for and potentially win. But there's lots of good offensive linemen out there, especially in the state of Ohio, to help fill out. Thoughts on Michael Roski? I really like him. I don't have Michael Roski in my show notes. I'll just be honest with you. I've really only recently started collecting notes for the 2025 class. So oh, wow. Check this guy out, Kyle. 6'7", 260. But listen, he's a giant offensive tackle from the state of Wisconsin. Those dudes don't leave Wisconsin. They stay at home.
Unless they're an interior lineman that once in a blue moon come to Ohio State.
That says OT. 6'7"? 6'7" is a tackle frame. It says tackle in the 24/7 notes. He was originally a guard. I mean, maybe they already had two good. It's Wisconsin. They may have already had two other 6'7" offensive tackles, so he just had to play guard as a freshman.
Maybe.
As Wisconsin. Oh boy, we need to move forward. We're up against it, Kyle. From Ohio, edge rusher Justin Hill. He is from Winton Woods, which is in the Cincinnati area. I think he's a very promising player. Already got an offer from Ohio State. I feel pretty good putting him in the mock class at this point.
All right.
I doubt it, considering his school isn't good. I don't know. I don't know Wautoma, Wisconsin. They don't have like a Buford or an IMG or a Mater Day or a Trinity Prep. I don't know Wisconsin high schools. I'm not nearly that big of a degenerate, Austin. And who did you just mock to Ohio State at end? Justin Hill from Winton Woods, Cincinnati area high school. And then I think this one is also a pretty good opportunity. Zahir Mathis. He is another edge rusher. He's from Philadelphia. He's from Emotep. So not that Philadelphia high school, but still an excellent Philadelphia area high school.
There you go, Jared.
I was trying to talk too quick. He is a quicker end, isn't he? Yes. In fact, and I assume you're still talking about love to land water to land Watford too. Yeah, I assume when you said the quicker end, you were still talking about Justin Hill, Austin. Yeah, there's a possibility he's a linebacker, or that he's like a prototypical sort of jack guy. So yeah, Hill might be, but the class of 2025 guys, they're still very young. He might bulk up and be a true defensive end. He could end up playing linebacker or, like I said, the jack position. He's a very good athlete. Defensive tackles, Kyle. Who you got at defensive tackle?
Well, let's stick with Philadelphia, Jared.
Yes, let's stick
with
Philadelphia.
Maxwell Roy. Got Maxwell Roy, or you can look in-state here in the Cleveland area. Brandon Caesar is another name to look out for. Yeah.
Defensive tackle, I think, is always one of the toughest, at least for me, positions to predict in these mocks. But I feel pretty good considering this is how ridiculous this exercise is to be doing a 2025 class at this time. I feel pretty good about these two options. All right, linebackers. OSU needs to go after Apenza. Yeah, his brother is the Iowa end. I mean, the genetics are there, right? Which sometimes works out.
Well, why don't we stick to the as we're moving on to linebackers here, let's stick to Philadelphia still, and let's talk about Anthony.
I went Philly strong. It's always sunny in Philly, at least in this early in a mock class. I went Philly strong on this mock for some reason.
You did. But other name you have here, nope, he's not from Philly here. He's actually way out in California here. Weston Port is another name that you have.
Yeah. The Anthony Sacca is the kid. Your eyes must have went wonky. Yep. The next on the list, linebacker, is Anthony Sacca. He is from the Philadelphia area. He's from St. Joseph's. And finishing out, Jared just wants cheesesteak. I have a cheesesteak rant, but we're already like pushing the time limit on this show, so we'll save it for another day. Going time back to Illinois.
Or tweet limit.
What's that? Oh, tweet limits. Don't get another thing not to get me started on, Kyle. Christian Pierce, linebacker from Oak Lawn, Illinois. He goes to a high school called Brother Rice, which is just one of the more interesting high school names I've heard in a while. Again, talented Illinois guy. As Esquire says, we really should own Illinois. And I agree. Why don't we own Illinois recruiting? Let's go get Christian Pierce. And if you're wondering, is he related to 2024? No. The 2024 Pierce and 2025 Pierce, not at all related.
All right, and moving on to the corners here, some names to keep an eye out for here.
No, Austin.
If we stick to the state of Ohio here, we got Trey McNutt.
Yeah.
Out of Cleveland.
Should be noted, marked as an athlete. But we're calling him a corner for now.
Mm-hmm. This one's going to be a tough battle because he's already very, very hard going over to Notre Dame, but arguably the best player in the state of Ohio here. So you got to try to keep him.
No, he's moved on to the next guy, Austin. With McNutt's definitely coming to Ohio State. He lives in Ohio. He has Nutt in his last name. He has to come to Ohio State. Those are just the rules.
Yes.
Kyle's talking about Dorian Brew right now.
Yes, Dorian Brew. Yes, Notre Dame's been pushing hard. He appears to really like Notre Dame here. I don't know how much Ohio State's really pushed early on here, but you know that when Ohio State is sending Brian Hartline to go recruit him,
and Terry Alana's there too.
Yes. Been pushing hard. Yes, Evan. It's stiff competition.
I'm gonna ask both of you to stop.
All right, Jared, what do you got for safeties?
Oh, I don't think we didn't finish the corners.
We did. Sorry. You also got in here. What are the best corners in the country here? Devin Sanchez out of Houston.
Yeah. Calling a shot there.
Then that last one you have here.
Mark Zachary the fourth.
Out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you're a top player in the state of Indiana, you're in state for Ohio State. I don't make the rules. I make the rules. But if you're a top player in the state of Indiana, it's your duty to come play football at Ohio State. Those are the rules. I didn't write them. I did write them. They're my rules, but everyone needs to adhere to them. Can we start calling him Quattro now? You'll have to ask his mom.
All right. And safeties here, Jared.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll start with the commit here. Jonte Gilbert.
Yeah.
Who seems like forever ago that he's committed.
Yeah. And do not let the fact that he's already in the class distract you from how great he is. He's a 5-star player, top 25 out of everyone in the country. The real play here will be keeping him. He's legitimately one of, if not the best safety in the country. He's from Atlanta. You just got to be able to hold on.
Yep. Another kid you have here, Jared, is
Pickett is the obvious number one for now. These things change.
And the other kid you have here, Jared, is Kanoa Winston out of the DC area.
Yep. I don't have a huge breakdown here. I almost want to place. This would be a great duo. This would be an amazing duo. Just so we're clear, if you could get both of these guys at safety, it's a huge, huge win at the safety position. Huge win at the safety position. All right, that's our mock class. Just want to name check a few more guys here. Running back Marquise Davis, quarterback Ryan Montgomery, wide receiver also last name Montgomery. Kyle already mentioned Quincy Porter, offensive lineman Maddie Augustine, offensive lineman Raphael Green. Either I've seen that name pronounced either way. Jaden Clark, offensive lineman, edge rusher Landon Merritt, defensive line Chris Burgess, defensive line Trent Wilson, linebacker TJ Alfred, linebacker Madden Ferriamo, linebacker Jonah Williams, defensive back. I have him in the notes twice for some reason. Defensive back Ethan Long, and athlete Emery Winston. No kicker. Yeah, no. Why? They just end up, I mean, for punter anyway, they just end up getting some Aussie kid that we hadn't heard of before. Like there's no reason for me to even attempt kickers or punters at this point. I have seen that name pronounced either way. Jared trying to save himself. 2023. No. Raphael can also be pronounced Raphael. It's just regional, I guess. I don't know. It's just one of those names that's spelled the same. It's like Megan and Megan. They're pronounced the same, but depending upon where you are in the country, it might be pronounced Megan. It might be pronounced Megan. Raphael or Raphael. I don't know what to tell you. All right, Kyle, that's it. That's our mock class. Do I want to run down the mock again? Let's run down. Quarterback, Travian St. Clair. Running back, Jordan Davis. Running back / athlete, Bo Jackson. Wide receiver, Quentin Simmons. Wide receiver, Adrian Wilson. Wide receiver, Jackson Wiley. Wide receiver, Jamie French. Tight end, Luca Gilbert. Offensive tackle, Carter Lowe. Offensive tackle, David Sanders. Offensive tackle, Braden Jacobs. Interior offensive lineman, Caden Strayhorn. On the defensive side, Justin Hill and Zahir Mathis at end. Defensive tackles, Maxwell Roy and Brandon Caesar. Linebackers, Weston Port, Anthony Sacca, and Christian Pierce. Cornerbacks, Mark Zachary the fourth. Devin Sanchez, Dorian Brew. Cornerback / athlete, Trey McNutt. Safety, Jonte Gilbert. And safety, Kinawa Winston. 25 person class I have mocked for 2025.
Perfect.
Gangland, I sort of said that.
Kinawa.
I mean, it's slightly different. It's slightly different, but ultimately kind of pronounced pretty closely. Kyle, that's it. That's the end of the show. Do you have anything in Kyle's corner?
Well, we talked about KJ Bolden making his decision about a month from now. Talked about Aaron Nolan getting his 5th star in the 24/7 composite. Yeah. What am I trying? Okay, I can go through this here. All right, so we have freshmen and their jersey numbers have now been posted here. Let's see here. Brandon Enos will be number 11. Lorenzo Stiles will be 16.
Not a freshman, but he's new.
Yeah. Carnell Tate will be 17. Luke Montgomery will be 51.
I'm just going to say this right now. Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis, these will be their only years with 2 digits in their numbers. Just go ahead. Go ahead and get those pictures now. Just pointing that out.
Let's see. Who else do we need? Malik Hartford is number 25. Just going down the list here. See if there's anybody.
Pointing out that 11 is still a pretty solid number, seeing as how it's JSN's.
It is, yeah.
And Olave only wore the 17 the 1 year, right? Or did he wear it for 2? But he definitely made their single number switch.
Noah Rogers will be 80. And yeah, I think those are probably the big names that I'm seeing here though, Jared.
No one getting a single digit from what I hear there.
Yeah, no single digits here.
Interesting. Simpson Hunt wearing 15.
Yeah, Jaden
Kleinholz wearing
21.
12. That's a good number. I feel like 21's a good number. I like a good low 20 number. 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Those are all good numbers.
There we go.
Yeah, a bunch of those we already had as far as just because they were spring enrollees.
Yep. All right, cool. No, that's it, Jared. That's all I got for today.
Awesome. Tonight's ending music. I believe. Yeah, let's play this. This is by a band called Harbor. Spelled Harbour. Oh, wait a minute. Switchblade playing to Vapors tonight. Ahem. Sure. Let's do Switchblade by Playing to Vapors tonight. By request from Austin, who has now threatened to unsubscribe twice this episode. Boy Who Cried Wolf, Austin. Boy Who Cried Wolf. Twice. It is twice tonight. McNutt. Fair. You know what? That's fair. So yeah, we'll do Harbor next week. We'll do Playing to Vapors tonight. This is Switchblade by Playing to Vapors. So with all that being said, I'd like to encourage everyone to drink local beer, listen to local music, and of course support your local podcasters. Once again, these are Playing to Vapors.